Maya Harris thought she was good at her job. Exceptional, actually. 3 years as executive secretary to Korean CEO Kang Ji-hoon, managing his impossible schedule, anticipating his needs before he voiced them, running his entire life with precision. Then one Monday morning he called her into his office and destroyed everything. "You're fired," he said, not even looking up from his paperwork. "Effective immediately." When she asked why, his answer made her blood run cold. "Because you're too beautiful and I can't think straight anymore." Maya stood frozen in Ji-hoon's corner office on the 42nd floor of the Kang Industries building in Midtown Manhattan. The floor-to-ceiling windows behind him framed the New York City skyline like a painting. Like he personally owned every building she could see, which wasn't far from the truth. Kang Industries had its fingerprints all over New York real estate. Luxury developments from Battery Park to Harlem, shopping centers scattered throughout Queens. The company was worth somewhere north of $3 billion, and Kang Ji-hoon controlled every aspect of it with absolute precision. "Excuse me?" Maya finally managed to say, her voice steady despite the shock coursing through her body like ice water in her veins. Her heart was pounding so violently she could hear it in her ears. Her hands felt cold and clammy. Her stomach had dropped somewhere down near her shoes. This couldn't be happening. Not after 3 years of absolutely perfect service. Not after everything she'd sacrificed to excel in this demanding position. Not after turning down 6 other job offers just to stay here. Ji-hoon still hadn't looked up from the thick contract he was reviewing with his expensive Mont Blanc fountain pen. The same pen she'd given him last Christmas, not because it was expected or required, but because she'd noticed his old one was running out of ink during a meeting. She'd spent 2 weeks' grocery money on that pen. He'd used it every single day since. The pen moved across the legal document in front of him with mechanical precision, the same way Kang Ji-hoon did everything in his life. Controlled, measured, perfect. Nothing left to chance. Nothing ever spontaneous or messy or human. His dark hair was styled immaculately as always, every strand in its precise place despite the fact that it was barely 8 in the morning. His charcoal Tom Ford suit probably cost more than Maya paid in rent for her entire year in her small Queens apartment. The crisp white shirt underneath looked like it had been ironed by someone who understood the molecular structure of cotton. His burgundy silk tie was knotted with geometric perfection. His shoes were Italian leather, polished to a mirror shine. His Patek Philippe watch costs more than most people's cars. Everything about Kang Ji-hoon screamed wealth, power, and absolute control over his environment. "You heard me correctly," he said, his voice flat and businesslike, the exact same tone he used when discussing quarterly earnings reports or market projections or acquisition strategies. "Human resources will handle your severance package within the hour. 2 months' salary, which is considerably more generous than the standard 2-week severance most companies offer for terminated employees. A comprehensive non-disclosure agreement regarding any proprietary company business you were privy to during your 3 years of employment here. Standard protocol for all executive-level terminations. Jennifer Chung from HR will contact you before 10 o'clock this morning to schedule your exit interview and discuss all the necessary paperwork." Standard protocol? Maya's hands clenched into tight fists at her sides, her perfectly manicured nails digging into her palms hard enough to leave marks. She'd painted them a deep burgundy color over the weekend at the Korean nail salon near her apartment. A small indulgence she allowed herself twice a month from her carefully managed budget. Now the color looked like dried blood against her brown skin. "Mr. Kang, I have worked for you for 3 years. 3 full years without a single sick day, even when I had the flu so badly I could barely stand. 3 years without being late even once, which is practically a miracle considering I commute from Queens on the subway every single morning and the MTA is a complete disaster. I have never made a significant error in any task you've assigned me. Not one. I've reorganized your entire filing system from the absolute chaos it was when I started working here. I've streamlined your meeting efficiency by 40% according to those productivity metrics you're constantly obsessed with tracking. I've managed your schedule, your travel arrangements, your dinner reservations, your dry cleaning, your entire professional and semi-personal life with what I genuinely thought was exceptional precision. And you're just firing me? Just like that? On a random Monday morning without any warning or explanation? I am aware of your exceptional competence, Miss Harris, Ji-hoon interrupted, finally looking up from his paperwork. His dark eyes met hers across the expanse of his massive mahogany desk that probably cost more than her car. And something in his expression made her breath catch painfully in her throat. Something intense and raw and barely controlled. Something she had never seen before in 3 years of working in extremely close proximity to this man. Your competence has never been in question for even a moment. In fact, you are quite possibly the most competent executive secretary I have ever employed in my entire career, and I have been through 7 different secretaries in the past decade before you arrived. That is not the issue here whatsoever. Your job performance is absolutely exemplary. This termination has nothing to do with your work quality or your professional capabilities. Then what is the issue? Maya demanded, taking several steps closer to his imposing desk. Her heels clicked sharply against the expensive marble floor, the sound aggressive and jarring in the quiet office. She was wearing her favorite pair of black pumps, nothing particularly fancy or expensive, just comfortable shoes from DSW that made her feel taller and more confident when she wore them. You literally just said, and I quote, that I'm too beautiful. That's not a fireable offense, Mr. Kang. That's actually blatant illegal discrimination based on physical appearance. I'm absolutely certain I could sue you and this entire company into complete oblivion for that statement alone. I may not be able to afford a fancy lawyer right now, but I guarantee I could find one who works on contingency for a case this clear-cut. And we could take this to court and you would lose. Badly. Very publicly. Very expensively. I am fully aware of the legal implications, Ji-hoon said, setting down his expensive fountain pen with deliberate, careful precision. Which is precisely why the official documented reason for your termination will be corporate restructuring and technological advancement. Elimination of the executive secretary position due to implementation of new administrative software and automated support systems that make human assistance redundant. It is a complete fabrication, obviously, but it will be documented as official company policy. You will receive a very generous severance package that is well above industry standard. No one in the business community will question the reasoning. You will have absolutely excellent references from me personally. I will personally ensure that you have opportunities at any company in this city that you choose to apply to. Several of my colleagues and business associates are always looking for exceptional administrative talent, and I will personally recommend you to them with my highest endorsement. You will not have any trouble whatsoever finding new employment, probably at a higher salary than what we've been paying you here. Maya stared at him, really looked at him carefully for the first time that morning. She had been so shocked and disoriented by the sudden firing announcement that she hadn't noticed the subtle details. But now she saw them with crystal clarity. The unusual tension radiating from his normally relaxed shoulders, making them rigid and tight beneath the expensive fabric of his custom-tailored suit. The small muscle jumping repeatedly in his clenched jaw, suggesting he was grinding his teeth hard enough to crack a molar. The way his hands had formed into tight fists on top of his desk, knuckles actually white with pressure and strain. The dark circles under his usually clear eyes that his normally perfect appearance couldn't quite hide, suggesting he hadn't slept well in days. Maybe he hadn't slept at all last night. Kang Ji-hoon, the man who negotiated billion-dollar real estate deals without breaking a sweat, who faced down hostile board members and aggressive corporate competitors with ice-cold calm, who had a legendary reputation throughout the New York business world for being absolutely unflappable under any circumstances, who never showed weakness or uncertainty or any genuine human emotion in professional settings, looked like a man who was barely holding himself together, like a man standing on the edge of something dangerous and unpredictable. "You cannot possibly be serious right now," she said slowly, her analytical mind trying desperately to process this completely insane situation, trying to make logical sense of something that made no sense whatsoever. "You are actually firing me because you find me physically attractive? That is the real reason behind all this corporate restructuring nonsense you're planning to tell HR? "I am not firing you because I simply find you physically attractive," Ji-hoon said. And his voice had dropped to something lower, rougher, more raw and uncontrolled than his usual carefully modulated professional tone. Something almost dangerous. "I am firing you because for the past 6 months, every single morning when you walk into this office, I completely lose the ability to focus on anything except you. Every time you lean over my desk to show me a document or a schedule change, I forget entirely what meeting I am supposed to be attending or what deal I am supposed to be closing. Every time you smile at something someone says in a meeting, every time you laugh at a colleague's joke in the break room, every time you simply exist anywhere in my proximity, I cannot think about quarterly projections or market analysis or acquisition strategies or anything work-related whatsoever. All I can think about is how desperately I want you, how intensely I need you, how I am going absolutely insane trying to maintain professional behavior when every instinct I possess is screaming at me to pull you into my arms and never let go. And I cannot, I will not, I absolutely refuse to become that person, so you have to go. This situation has to end before I do something unforgivable." The words hung in the air between them like physical objects, heavy and substantial and impossible to ignore. Maya felt her heart hammering against her ribs so violently she was genuinely concerned it might actually burst through her chest. The office suddenly felt too small, too warm, too charged with something electric and dangerous and completely inappropriate for any professional workplace environment. The space between them felt alive with crackling tension that she could almost see. "What person?" she asked quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. She was almost afraid to hear the answer. Ji-hoon stood abruptly from his leather chair, the movement sharp and aggressive enough to make Maya take an instinctive step backward. He walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Manhattan skyline, deliberately putting his back to her like he physically could not look at her anymore, could not stand to see her face while he spoke these dangerous words out loud. His hands were still clenched into tight fists at his sides, and she could see the visible tension running through his entire tall frame like electrical current. "The person who takes advantage of a power imbalance," he said, his voice tight and controlled in a way that suggested enormous effort, like every single word was being physically forced out through a steel trap. "The boss who uses his position of authority to pursue someone who works for him and depends on him professionally. The absolute cliché that everyone rightfully despises. The predator who makes his secretary feel like she has to reciprocate his feelings or risk losing her job and her career. The man who turns a professional relationship into something inappropriate and toxic because he cannot control his own selfish desires. I will not be that person, Maya. I absolutely refuse to do that to you, so you have to leave this company. You have to be removed from my daily proximity before I do something we will both regret forever. Before I cross a line that can never be uncrossed." "That is..." Maya struggled to find adequate words, her normally articulate mind reeling from the raw confession, from the brutal honesty in his voice, from the massive implications of everything he was saying. Her thoughts were spinning completely out of control. That is genuinely the most idiotic thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Now Ji-hoon did turn around from the window, visible surprise flickering across his usually controlled features. His eyebrows rose slightly, which for him was the equivalent of complete shock. Idiotic? Yes, completely idiotic, Maya said firmly, and she walked closer to him with deliberate steps, her initial shock rapidly giving way to something else entirely. Anger, maybe. Or something far more complicated than simple anger. Something that felt like frustration and relief, and possibility all tangled together in a knot she could not begin to unravel. You are firing me to protect my consent, to avoid a power imbalance, to prevent me from feeling pressured in any way, without even bothering to ask me what I actually want, without even considering for 1 second that I might have my own feelings about this situation, without even giving me the basic courtesy of treating me like an adult human being who can make her own decisions about her own life. What you want is completely irrelevant to this situation, Ji-hoon said, but his voice had lost some of its earlier certainty. He looked almost uncertain now, genuinely confused by her reaction, like he had expected her to simply accept the firing and leave quietly without argument. The power dynamic exists whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. I am your boss and your employer. You depend on this job for your livelihood, for your career progression, for your professional reputation in this industry. Anything between us would be fundamentally compromised by that reality from the very beginning. Even if you think you want something, you cannot be absolutely certain those feelings are genuine or just a psychological response to the tremendous power I hold over your professional life. That is not informed consent. That is potential coercion, even if the coercion is not intentional on my part. So you are unilaterally making this decision for me, Maya said, stopping just a few feet away from him now. Close enough to see the individual flecks of lighter brown in his dark eyes. Close enough to smell his expensive cologne, something subtle with notes of sandalwood and bergamot that she had become intimately familiar with over 3 years of working in extremely close proximity. Close enough to see the faint white scar on his left cheekbone, a thin line she had always wondered about but never had the courage or the right to ask about. Very progressive of you, Mr. Kang, very respectful of my autonomy as a woman and a professional. Firing me to save me from yourself. Taking away my agency to protect my agency. Do you understand the absolutely enormous irony here? Do you comprehend how incredibly condescending this entire approach is? You do not understand the position you are in, Ji-hoon said, and there was something almost desperate in his voice now. Something pleading beneath the surface. You do not fully comprehend how much power I have over your life in this moment. I could make one phone call to any CEO in this city and you would never work in corporate America again. I could destroy your entire career with a single word to the right person. I could make your professional life absolute hell in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. That is the reality of the power I hold over you. That is why anything between us would be tainted and corrupted from the very beginning. Every interaction would be poisoned by that fundamental imbalance. But you would never actually do any of those things, Maya interrupted, her voice firm and certain. Because you are not that kind of person. You just said so yourself quite explicitly. You are not a predator. You are not someone who would abuse your power for personal gain or satisfaction. You are someone who is so absolutely terrified of potentially abusing your power that you are firing someone who has done genuinely excellent work for 3 years, just to eliminate even the remote possibility of impropriety. That is not predatory behavior. That is actually the complete opposite of predatory behavior. You do not know what I am capable of when it comes to you, Ji-hoon said. And there was something raw and almost frightening in his voice now. something that made Maya's skin prickle with awareness. I have spent 6 months, actually, if I am being completely honest with myself and with you, it has been longer than that. Probably closer to a full year at this point, trying desperately to be professional. Trying to ignore these feelings. Trying to pretend I do not notice every single thing about you. What you wear each morning and how you choose to style your hair. And the exact shade of lipstick you put on. And whether your jewelry matches your outfit. The way you bite your lower lip when you are concentrating on something difficult. The sound of your laugh when someone genuinely amuses you, which is completely different from the polite professional laugh that you use in meetings. The particular scent of your perfume that I can smell every time you come close to my desk to show me something. The way you tap your pen against your notepad when you are thinking. The way you tuck your hair behind your ear when you are nervous about something. I notice absolutely everything, Maya. Every single detail. And I have tried so incredibly, impossibly hard to be appropriate, to maintain proper professional boundaries, to keep this relationship purely professional and nothing more. But I cannot do it anymore. I cannot keep pretending I do not feel this way. I cannot keep acting like you are just my secretary when you are so much more than that in my mind. So yes, I am firing you. Because it is the only way I can stop myself from doing something we will both regret later. Maya's breath came faster as his words sank in. The air in the office felt thick and charged, like the oppressive atmosphere right before a major thunderstorm breaks. She could feel electricity crackling between them, this tension that had been building for months, no, for longer than that if she was being completely honest with herself, finally breaking open into something they could no longer ignore or push down or pretend did not exist. "What if I do not regret it?" she asked, her voice quiet but steady. "What if I want exactly what you are so afraid of wanting?" Maya. Jihoon said her first name for the first time in 3 years of working together, and it sounded like a prayer and a curse and a desperate plea all at once. His voice was rough with barely controlled emotion. "Please do not do this. Please do not make this harder than it already is." "Do not do what?" Maya challenged, taking another deliberate step closer to him. They were only a few feet apart now, close enough to touch if either of them reached out. "Do not tell you that I have noticed you noticing me for months. Do not admit that I have spent 3 years pretending I do not feel the intense tension every single time we are in the same room. Do not mention that I chose this particular dress this morning knowing you would see me in it. That I wear blue on Tuesdays because I noticed months ago that it is your favorite color and your eyes linger just a little bit longer when I do. That I have turned down 6 different job offers from other executives in the past year because the thought of not seeing you every day felt absolutely unbearable." "Stop talking," Jihoon said, but the words lacked any conviction whatsoever. His voice was strained. "You do not know what you are saying. You do not understand what you are admitting to right now." "I know exactly what I am saying," Maya said. And she was close enough now that she could see his pulse jumping rapidly in his throat, could see the way his breathing had quickened and become shallow, could see the barely controlled want burning in his dark eyes. "You want to know why I have never quit this job despite receiving literally dozens of offers from other executives over the past 3 years? Offers that would have paid significantly better, offered better benefits, provided better opportunities for career advancement? Why I have stayed in a position that frankly pays me less than I could make elsewhere? Why I have turned down every other opportunity that has come my way?" "Maya, please." His voice was strained now, desperate. "Because of you," she said simply, cutting him off. "Because every morning I get to see you, because I get to be near you for 8 to 10 hours a day. Because for 3 years, coming to this job has been the absolute highlight of my day, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the actual work I was doing. It was always about you. It has only ever been about you, Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon stared at her like she had just spoken an alien language he could not begin to comprehend. His usually composed expression had cracked completely open, showing confusion and want and something that looked almost like fear underneath. His careful control was slipping. That does not change the fundamental problem here. That does not eliminate the power dynamic that exists between us. It changes absolutely everything, Maya said firmly, decisively. Because now we both know the truth, and you cannot fire me to protect me from something I actively want. You cannot take away my choice under the guise of respecting my autonomy. You cannot make decisions about my life without consulting me first. That is not how consent works, Ji-hoon. That is not how any of this works. She had used his first name deliberately, intimately, dropping all professional pretense. She watched him react to it like she had physically reached out and touched him. Watched his eyes darken several shades, watched his hands clench even tighter at his sides. Watched him take a sharp breath like she had put her hands on his body. I can, and I will make this decision, Ji-hoon said. But his voice had lost all its certainty now. He sounded like a man trying desperately to convince himself more than her. Because 6 months from now, when you are working somewhere else, when you have distance and perspective on this entire situation, you will realize this was the right decision. You will be grateful I had the strength to do what needed to be done when you were too caught up in the moment to see clearly. You will understand that I was protecting you from a situation that could only end badly for you. Maya said, closing the remaining distance between them until they were only inches apart, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. 6 months from now, we will both be absolutely miserable because you made a unilateral decision based on some outdated notion of propriety instead of actually communicating with me like two adults. Because you assumed you knew what was best for me instead of treating me like an equal partner in this situation. Because you let fear control your actions instead of having an honest conversation about what we both clearly want. I am trying to do the right thing here, Ji-hoon said, and his voice was barely above a whisper now. She could see the internal war playing out clearly across his handsome face. The intense battle between what he wanted and what he thought he should do, between desire and duty, between heart and head. The right thing, Maya said quietly, reaching up slowly to give him time to pull away if he wanted. 2 would be to let me make my own choices about my own life. The right thing would be to treat me like an adult who is fully capable of deciding what I want and what is best for me. The right thing would be to stop assuming you have to protect me from myself and recognize that maybe, just maybe, I know my own mind and my own heart better than you do. They stood there close enough that Maya could see the individual eyelashes framing his dark eyes, could see the faint scar on his left cheekbone up close, could count each breath he took. Close enough to feel the tension vibrating between them like a physical force, like electricity charging the air between their bodies. Tell me to leave, Maya said, her voice steady despite her heart racing so fast she felt dizzy. Look me directly in the eye and tell me you genuinely want me to go. Not because it is professional or appropriate or safe. Not because you think it is what is best for me. Tell me you want me gone, that you want me completely out of your life, that you will be happier if I leave and never come back. Tell me that, mean it with your whole heart, and I will go. I will walk out this door right now and you will never see me again except maybe in passing at industry events. But you have to mean it. You have to actually want me gone. Ji-hoon opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His dark eyes searched her face desperately like he was trying to memorize every single detail. Like he was trying to find the words that absolutely would not come no matter how hard he tried. Long seconds passed, stretched into a minute, and still he said nothing. The silence in the office was deafening. "I cannot," he finally admitted, and the words sounded like they were being physically torn from somewhere deep inside his chest, like each syllable caused him genuine pain. "God help me, Maya, I cannot do it. I cannot tell you to leave. I cannot tell you I want you gone. I cannot stand here and lie to you like that. I have tried. I spent the entire weekend trying to prepare myself to fire you this morning, trying to convince myself it was the right thing to do, rehearsing what I would say. And I cannot even manage to properly execute the plan because looking at you makes everything impossible." "Then do not fire me," Maya said softly, gently. "Do not push me away because you are scared of your own feelings. Because I am scared too, and I am still standing here. I am still standing in front of you telling you exactly what I want. I am still fighting for this, for us, for whatever this could be. If we do this," Ji-hoon started, then stopped himself. His hand came up slowly, clearly telegraphing the movement, giving her every possible opportunity to pull back or step away or change her mind. His palm cupped her face with surprising gentleness, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone with a feather-light touch. The contact sent electricity shooting through her entire body, making her skin tingle. "If we cross this line, everything changes. Absolutely everything. I cannot be your boss anymore. The power dynamic you are dismissing as irrelevant, it is very real. It would poison everything between us, poison every interaction we have, make you question whether things I say or do are genuine or influenced by our professional relationship. I cannot live with that. I will not do that to you or to us. So if we do this, if we try this, we have to do it right. We have to do it properly." "So promote me," Maya said, her skin burning pleasantly where he touched her. "Transfer me to a different department. Let me report to someone else. There are solutions here that do not involve me walking away from you or from this company entirely. We can eliminate the power dynamic without eliminating us. We are both intelligent people. We can figure this out together." "You make it sound simple," Ji-hoon said, his thumb still tracing gentle patterns on her cheekbone. "Maybe it is simple," Maya countered, reasonably. "Maybe we have been overcomplicating it for months, building it up in our heads into this impossible problem when really the solution is fairly straightforward. I move departments. I report to someone else. We date like normal people. We see if this thing between us is real or just workplace proximity and sexual tension that will fade once we actually spend real time together outside this office." "It is real," Ji-hoon said with absolute certainty, no hesitation whatsoever. "I already know it is real. I have known for months that this is not just physical attraction or convenience or boredom. This is, you are..." He struggled for adequate words, which was unusual for someone who was normally so articulate and precise in his speech. "This is the most real thing I have felt in my entire life. This feeling. You. Us." "Then why are you fighting it so hard?" Maya asked gently, searching his face. "Because if I let myself have you," Ji-hoon said, his voice dropping to something raw and completely honest, all his usual careful control stripped away entirely. "If I let myself cross that line and make you mine, I will not be able to let go. Ever. I need you to understand that about me before we do this. Before we take this step. I am not good at moderation. I do not do casual relationships or halfway commitments. I do not do temporary arrangements. If we start this, I will want everything. All of you. Every single piece. I will be possessive and demanding and probably suffocating at times. I will want to know where you are and who you are with and when I will see you again. I will get jealous when other men look at you. I will be intense in ways that will probably drive you absolutely crazy within a month." "Good," Maya said simply, decisively. "Because I do not do casual either. Because I want that intensity. Because I have spent 3 years watching you from a professional distance and wishing I could get closer, wondering what it would be like. So if you are warning me that you are going to be possessive and demanding, consider me thoroughly warned and completely unbothered by any of it. I want all of that. Ji-hoon made a sound low in his throat, something between a groan and a laugh. You have absolutely no idea what you are agreeing to right now. Then show me, Maya challenged, her voice barely above a whisper. That is when Ji-hoon kissed her. His free hand came up to frame the other side of her face, holding her gently but firmly between his palms like something simultaneously precious and essential to his survival. His lips met hers with a desperate hunger that spoke of months of restraint finally breaking. Months of wanting finally given permission to exist freely. Maya kissed him back with equal intensity, her hands fisting tightly in his expensive suit jacket, pulling him closer, eliminating even the small space that remained between their bodies. The kiss was everything 3 years of tension had promised it would be, and more, desperate and consuming and absolutely right. Maya felt it in every nerve ending, every cell of her body, like she had been waiting her entire life for this moment, for him, for this exact connection. Time seemed to stop completely. The city outside the windows disappeared entirely. The office around them ceased to exist. Nothing existed except this kiss, this moment, this man. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard and fast, Ji-hoon rested his forehead against hers. His eyes were closed, his breathing unsteady and ragged. This is a terrible idea, he said, but there was absolutely no conviction in the words. They were just sounds, empty of meaning. Probably the worst idea either of us has ever had, Maya agreed, still trying to catch her breath. Human Resources is going to have an absolute field day when they inevitably find out about this. They will definitely have opinions, she agreed again. I am still going to have to transfer you to another department, immediately, Ji-hoon said, opening his eyes to look directly at her. I cannot have you reporting to me while we are whatever this is going to be. The ethics of it are too problematic. Too many potential conflicts of interest, too much room for accusations of favoritism or coercion or impropriety. I understand completely, Maya said. But you are not firing me anymore? No, Ji-hoon said firmly, decisively. No, I am absolutely not firing you. I am going to make some calls right now. By the end of business today, you will have a new position. Same general salary range, probably higher actually, because I am going to make sure you are properly compensated for your actual skills and capabilities, not just what executive secretaries typically make in this industry. Different supervisor, different department, completely different reporting structure, and then... He paused, his thumb tracing her lower lip slowly. And then I am taking you to dinner tonight. Somewhere nice. Somewhere public where I have to behave myself appropriately. Somewhere I can do this properly, the way you deserve to be treated. The way you should have been treated from the beginning. Properly? Maya smiled against his thumb. I thought we were way past proper at this point. I am trying to have some shred of remaining dignity here, Ji-hoon said. But he was smiling too, and it transformed his usually serious face into something younger and more open and genuinely happy. Let me at least pretend I have some remaining self-control. If you absolutely insist on maintaining this illusion, Maya said, stepping back reluctantly. She immediately missed the warmth of his hands on her face. Should I go back to my desk now? Or is security still planning to escort me out of the building? Security, Ji-hoon said with a hint of his usual authority returning to his voice, can escort themselves out of this building permanently if they come anywhere near you with that intention. Go back to your desk. Act as normal as possible under these circumstances. In approximately an hour, maybe slightly less, you will get a call from Jennifer Chang in Human Resources about your transfer and new position. She will handle all the logistics and paperwork. What position exactly? Maya asked, curious now. Director of Strategic Initiatives, reporting to Daniel Kim in our Corporate Development Division, Ji-hoon said. It is a real position that has been vacant for approximately a month. Actually quite prestigious within the company. A significant step up from executive secretary in terms of both responsibility and compensation. You will probably hate it initially because Daniel is absolutely insufferable and the work is completely different from what you are accustomed to doing. But it is a genuine opportunity for you, and it solves our immediate ethical problem. You already had this planned, Maya realized, understanding dawning on her face. This was not something you just came up with in this moment. I had multiple contingencies prepared, Ji-hoon admitted without any shame whatsoever. I have been trying to solve this impossible puzzle for the past 2 months. How to keep you at the company while completely eliminating the direct power imbalance between us. This transfer was option 3 on my list of possible solutions. What were options 1 and 2? Maya asked, genuinely curious now about his thought process. Option 1 was what I attempted this morning, firing you completely and removing you from my life entirely, Ji-hoon said honestly. Obviously, that did not work out as planned. Option 2 was requesting a transfer to our Seoul headquarters and putting an entire ocean between us to eliminate the temptation. You would have moved to Korea? Maya asked, genuinely surprised and somewhat touched by that revelation. You would have left New York? Left everything you have built here? I was seriously considering it, Ji-hoon admitted. I actually had preliminary conversations with the Seoul office about possible executive positions there. They were very eager to have me. Moving to another continent seemed less insane than continuing to work with you every single day while wanting you this desperately and not being able to do anything about it. The distance seemed like the only solution. For the record, Maya said quietly, seriously, if you had transferred to Seoul, I would have followed you somehow. I would have applied for positions at the Seoul office, learned Korean properly instead of just the basic phrases I know now. Figured something out. I would have found a way to be near you. Please do not, Ji-hoon said, his voice suddenly rough again with barely controlled emotion. Please do not say things like that to me. Do not make promises about things you have not fully thought through. Do not make this harder than it already is. Who says I have not thought it through? Maya challenged him. You think you are the only one who has been going quietly insane for months. You think I have not run every possible scenario in my head, considered every possibility, imagined every potential outcome. You are not alone in this, Ji-hoon. You have never been alone in this. I have been right here with you the whole time, feeling exactly what you have been feeling. Ji-hoon closed his eyes briefly, like her words caused him genuine physical pain. Please go back to your desk right now before I do something that will definitely violate about 17 different workplace conduct policies and probably get us both sued by someone. Maya went, but she looked back at the door, unable to help herself. Ji-hoon was standing exactly where she had left him by the windows, watching her with an expression that made heat flood through her entire body. An expression that promised things that made her grateful she had an hour of normal work before she would have to interact with other humans who might notice her flushed face and know something significant had happened. She walked back to her desk outside Ji-hoon's office on shaking legs, her mind still reeling from everything that had just happened in that office. Several co-workers were hovering nearby at their own desks, pretending to work but clearly curious. Maya knew the office grapevine had already spread the news that she had been called into the CEO's office first thing on a Monday morning, which was never a good sign in corporate America. "Everything okay?" Rachel from accounting asked with concern written clearly across her friendly face. She and Maya had become friends over the past year, occasionally getting drinks after work. "We heard you were in there for like half an hour. That is never good. Nobody gets called into the CEO's office for that long unless something serious is happening. Are you in trouble? Did something go wrong with a project?" "Everything is fine," Maya managed to say, trying to sound normal despite feeling like her entire world had just been turned completely upside down in the best possible way. "Just discussing some new career opportunities within the company. Professional development stuff. Nothing to worry about." "Opportunities?" Rachel's eyes lit up with obvious curiosity and genuine happiness for her friend. "What kind of opportunities? Are you leaving this floor? Did you get promoted? Please tell me you got promoted because you absolutely deserve it. You work harder than anyone else on this entire floor." "But you cannot leave, Maya. This whole department will fall apart without you organizing everything." "I will know more specific details later today," Maya deflected smoothly, sitting down at her familiar desk and immediately focusing intently on her computer screen to discourage any further conversation. "I really need to finish these reports before the deadline." The next hour passed in a complete blur of pretending to work, while her mind replayed everything that had just happened on an endless loop. Ji-hoon's raw confession. The brutal honesty in his voice when he admitted he had been wanting her for months, his hands gently on her face, that kiss that had felt like coming home and catching fire simultaneously. Her own admission that she had felt the same way for so long. The promise of dinner tonight. The promise of everything changing. 3 years. 3 years of careful professionalism and deliberately maintained distance. 3 years of pretending she did not notice how attractive he was, how intelligent, how occasionally funny in his dry, subtle way that most people missed. 3 years of ignoring the pull she felt whenever he was near. 3 years of telling herself it was just a professional relationship and nothing more. That she was being ridiculous, that he would never see her as anything other than his secretary. And now everything had changed completely in the span of one 30-minute conversation in his office. The call from HR came at exactly 10:30, right on Ji-hoon's predicted schedule. Jennifer Chang was professional and efficient as always, explaining the new role in detail, the specific responsibilities, the reporting structure, the compensation package. The salary was indeed 15% higher than what she had been making, Maya noted with genuine surprise and gratitude. The start date would be Monday of next week, giving her the rest of this week to properly transition her current responsibilities to a temporary replacement. "This is quite a significant promotion, Miss Harris," Jennifer said warmly over the phone. "Mr. Kang must think very highly of your capabilities to recommend you for this position personally. Director-level roles do not open up often, and when they do, they are usually filled by external candidates with many years of experience in corporate development. This is quite an opportunity. I suppose he must think highly of my work," Maya said carefully, very aware that office gossip spread at the literal speed of light through this building, and she did not want to fuel any speculation about her relationship with Ji-hoon. Not yet. Not until they figured out what exactly they were doing and how to handle it professionally. "You will be working with Daniel Kim, who heads our corporate development team," Jennifer continued. "He is excellent at what he does, very strategic and forward-thinking. Though I should warn you, he can be somewhat intense about deadlines and deliverables. But the team does genuinely excellent work, and this really is a fantastic opportunity for career advancement. Congratulations, Maya." They discussed logistics for several more minutes, transitioning her current responsibilities to a temp worker, setting up her new office space, scheduling introduction meetings with her new team, onboarding processes, and training. By the time Maya hung up the phone, official emails had already started circulating throughout the entire company announcing her promotion and transfer. Her phone started buzzing immediately with congratulations texts from various coworkers. Her desk phone rang almost immediately after that. Ji-hoon's extension she saw on the caller ID. "Yes, Mr. Kang," she answered, slipping back into professional mode automatically after years of practice. "My office. Now." His voice was clipped, businesslike, completely professional. "We need to discuss the transition of your current responsibilities to your temporary replacement." Maya walked back into his office for the second time that morning, closing the door behind her carefully. The moment it clicked shut, Ji-hoon was around his massive desk in seconds and pulling her into his arms without saying a single word. "I have been going absolutely insane for the past hour," he said against her hair, his strong arms tight around her waist. "Sitting in here knowing you were 30 feet away and I could not touch you. Knowing everyone in the office probably heard you were in here this morning and is speculating wildly about what happened. Having to pretend everything is completely normal when literally everything has changed between us." "Welcome to the past 3 years of my life," Maya said, but she was smiling, wrapping her arms around his waist and holding on tight. "This is what it has been like for me every single day. Sitting outside your office, close enough to hear your voice through the door, watching you through the glass when you're on conference calls, pretending I felt absolutely nothing for you." "I am sorry," Ji-hoon said, pulling back slightly to look at her directly. "I am genuinely sorry I put you through that. I am sorry I was too much of a coward to do something about this situation sooner than today. I am sorry for all the time we wasted pretending." "You were not a coward," Maya corrected firmly. "You were trying to be ethical, trying to do what you thought was the right thing. I actually respect that, even though it meant months of mutual torture for both of us." "Well, the torture is officially over as of close of business this Friday," Ji-hoon said decisively. "As of 5 p.m. on Friday, you will no longer work for me directly. You will be in a completely different department with a completely different supervisor. Which means as of 5 p.m. on Friday, I can take you on a proper date without any ethical complications or conflicts of interest." "Friday is still 4 days away," Maya pointed out. "I am very aware of that," Ji-hoon said seriously. "We are going to be extremely professional for exactly 4 days. No touching at work, no lingering looks in meetings, no behavior whatsoever that would fuel office gossip or create potential problems for you in your new position. Your professional reputation matters to me." "You are actually serious about this," Maya realized, seeing the determination in his eyes. "Completely serious," Ji-hoon confirmed. "I will not do anything that compromises your professional reputation or makes your new role harder than it needs to be. You are going to succeed in this position entirely on your own merits, not because people think you are sleeping with the CEO. Which means we need to be very smart about this, at least initially. Once you are established in the new role, once people see your competence firsthand, then we can be more open about our relationship. But not yet. Not until you have proven yourself." "That is actually incredibly thoughtful," Maya said, genuinely touched by his consideration. "I have my moments," Ji-hoon said. He glanced at the expensive Patek Philippe watch on his wrist. "You should go now. We have been in here too long already. People will definitely talk if you stay longer." "People are already talking," Maya pointed out reasonably. "Let them talk about your well-deserved promotion," Ji-hoon said firmly. "Not about us. Not yet. Your career matters to me, Maya. I will not let gossip about our relationship overshadow your actual capabilities and accomplishments. You have worked too hard to have your success diminished by office rumors." Maya left his office impressed by his consideration and thoughtfulness despite being somewhat frustrated by the 4-day waiting period. But he was absolutely right, she acknowledged to herself. She wanted to succeed in her new role because she was genuinely good at her job, not because people assumed she was receiving special treatment for sleeping with the boss. She had worked too hard and come too far to let her professional reputation be damaged by gossip. The rest of the week passed in a strange limbo state. Maya worked diligently to transition all her current responsibilities to a temporary worker who would fill in until Ji-hoon hired a new permanent executive secretary. She had multiple introduction meetings with Daniel Kim and her new team, learning about the strategic initiatives they were currently working on, the projects in various stages of development, the corporate objectives for the next quarter. She moved her personal belongings from her desk to her new office 3 floors down, a proper office space with actual windows that let in natural light and a door that closed for privacy. A significant upgrade from her desk in the executive hallway, where everyone could see everything she did. And through it all, she and Ji-hoon maintained careful, perfect professionalism in all their interactions. They passed each other in hallways without stopping to chat casually. They were in several meetings together where they barely made direct eye contact, focusing entirely on the business at hand. They kept every single interaction strictly business and nothing more, maintaining appropriate professional distance. But Maya would catch him watching her sometimes when he thought no one else was looking. Brief moments when his guard dropped slightly. And the heat in those brief glances promised that once the 4 days were over, once the ethical constraints were permanently removed, the careful restraint would end immediately. Friday evening finally arrived after what felt like the longest week of Maya's entire life. Her last official day reporting directly to Ji-hoon. There was a small gathering in the main conference room to wish her well in her new role. Someone had ordered an expensive cake from that fancy bakery downtown that everyone always talked about. People made polite speeches about her excellent service over the past 3 years, about how she would be missed on the executive floor, about how lucky the corporate development team was to have her. Ji-hoon gave a brief, completely professional toast that revealed absolutely nothing about his personal feelings. Maya has been an exceptional member of my executive team for 3 years. Her organizational skills, her attention to detail, her ability to anticipate needs before they are even voiced, and her dedication to excellence have been absolutely invaluable to me and to this company. I have no doubt whatsoever that she will excel in her new role in corporate development. Daniel, you are extremely lucky to have her on your team. Maya, congratulations on a truly well-deserved promotion. I look forward to seeing you continue to grow professionally here at Kang Industries. Nothing in his words or his delivery or his body language suggested anything remotely personal. He was the absolute consummate professional, maintaining perfect boundaries. But when he handed her the gift card that the office had collectively pooled money to purchase, a generous amount to one of the upscale restaurants downtown, their fingers touched briefly during the exchange, and Maya felt electricity shoot straight up her arm like lightning. After the party ended and people gradually dispersed back to their desks, after Maya had packed up the absolute last of her personal items from her old desk area, her phone buzzed with a text from the number she now had saved under Ji-hoon in her contacts. Dinner, 7 p.m. tonight, 11 Madison Park. Wear something that makes you feel powerful. You are going to need it. J.H. Maya stared at the message, at the name of one of the most exclusive and expensive restaurants in all of Manhattan. The kind of place that required reservations months in advance and cost more for one meal than she typically spent on groceries in an entire month. The kind of place she had only read about in magazines. She texted back, "Very presumptuous. What if I already have plans for tonight?" His response came immediately. Do you have plans? No. Then 7 p.m. Do not be late. I have waited 3 years for this. I do not want to wait another single minute longer than necessary. Maya went home to her small Queens apartment and stood in front of her modest closet for a solid 30 minutes, trying to decide what powerful meant in this new context. She finally settled on a dress she had bought on sale 6 months ago but had never had occasion to wear. Deep burgundy silk that hugged every curve of her body and fell to just above her knees. Heels that added 3 inches to her 5'6" frame and made her legs look endless. She wore her natural hair out in full, styled in defined curls that had taken her over an hour to perfect using YouTube tutorials. Makeup more dramatic than she ever wore to the office. A bold burgundy lip that matched her dress, smoky eyes that made them look larger and more intense, skin that seemed to glow in her bathroom mirror. When she looked at herself in the full-length mirror on her closet door, she barely recognized the woman staring back at her. This was not Executive Secretary Maya, who wore conservative blazers and sensible shoes. This was not even new promotion Maya in her professional office attire. This was the version of herself she had kept hidden and suppressed. The confident, sensual, powerful woman she had buried under layers of professional necessity. She took the subway into Manhattan, too nervous to drive in city traffic. She arrived at the restaurant at 6:58, 2 minutes early because she was chronically incapable of being late to anything. Ji-hoon was already there, standing near the entrance, waiting for her. He was wearing a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, his hair styled slightly differently than his usual office look, more relaxed and less severe. He looked absolutely devastating. When he saw her approaching, his expression transformed completely. His eyes went dark, his jaw tightened visibly, and something that looked almost like pain crossed his handsome face. "You are stunning," he said simply when she reached him, his voice low and intense. "You are always stunning, but tonight you are absolutely devastating to look at." "You clean up well yourself," Maya said, taking in the full impact of him in this new context. Not her boss, not the CEO, just Ji-hoon looking at her like she was the only person in the entire world that mattered. They were led to a private table in a quiet corner of the elegant restaurant, the kind of table where privacy was guaranteed and discretion was assumed. Ji-hoon had clearly chosen very carefully. Once they were seated, once wine had been poured into crystal glasses and menus had been delivered, Ji-hoon reached across the pristine white tablecloth and took her hand in his. "I am nervous," he admitted, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her palm. "I do not get nervous. I negotiate billion-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. I face down hostile board members and aggressive competitors without flinching. But sitting here across from you right now, I am genuinely terrified." "Of what?" Maya asked, intertwining her fingers with his. "That I will mess this up somehow. That I have already messed it up by handling Monday so poorly. That I will say the wrong thing or move too fast or not fast enough. That you will realize I am actually terrible at personal relationships and run in the opposite direction." Ji-hoon's honesty was stark and vulnerable. "I need you to know what you are getting into with me. I am not good at this. I work too much. I am demanding and controlling, and I have very specific ideas about how things should be done. I am probably going to drive you crazy within a month." "Probably," Maya agreed, smiling. "But I am stubborn and independent, and I do not take orders well outside of a professional context anymore. I am probably going to drive you crazy right back with equal intensity." "I am counting on it," Ji-hoon said seriously. "But I meant what I said Monday, about wanting everything, about not being able to let go once I have you. I need to make sure you understand the intensity of what you are signing up for here." "I understand," Maya said seriously, squeezing his hand. "But you need to understand something too. I am not fragile. I'm not going to break because you have intense feelings for me. I am not going to run away the first time things get difficult or complicated. I have spent 3 years watching you, learning you, seeing who you are when you think no one is paying attention. I know all your difficult qualities, and I am here anyway. I am choosing this. I am choosing you. They talked for hours over the excellent meal, about childhood memories and family dynamics, about dreams and goals and fears. Ji-hoon told her about growing up in Seoul as the only son of demanding parents, about the intense pressure of family expectations, about building his company from almost nothing. Maya told her about Atlanta and her large extended family, about student loans and struggling financially and fighting her way into corporate spaces that were not designed for people like her. "Can I confess something?" Ji-hoon said over dessert, his voice soft. "I always thought you had a beautiful voice. Even when I was not really looking at you properly, I noticed that. Some part of me recognized you before my conscious mind admitted it." "You noticed my voice?" Maya asked, surprised and touched. "And the way you organized everything with such precision, and how you always remembered my coffee exactly right without me having to remind you. Little things like that. I just never put it together with actually seeing you as a complete whole person instead of just my efficient secretary." After dinner, they walked through Manhattan streets together. It was late spring, the weather warm and perfect. Ji-hoon held her hand as they walked, casual and possessive in a way that made her heart skip. "Tell me something you have never told anyone," he said suddenly. "That is a big ask," Maya said. "I want to know you, really know you, not just the professional version." Maya thought for a moment. "I am scared I am not good enough. That I have been faking my way through everything and someone is going to figure it out eventually." "Imposter syndrome," Ji-hoon said knowingly. "I have it too." "You?" Maya looked at him skeptically. "You always seem so certain of everything." "I am certain in business because business is logical. But personally, emotionally, I am constantly convinced I am fundamentally broken in some way, that I will never really connect with anyone on a deep level." "Until now," Maya said quietly. "Until now," Ji-hoon agreed. They reached Maya's building in Queens. At her door, Ji-hoon turned her to face him gently. "Thank you for tonight," he said, his hands framing her face. "For giving me a chance. For not running when I made a complete ass of myself on Monday." "Thank you for not actually firing me," Maya said, smiling up at him. Ji-hoon kissed her then, slow and deep and thorough. When he pulled back, they were both breathing hard. "I am going to go now," he said, though he did not move. "Before I do something inappropriate like invite myself into your apartment on our first official date." "You could," Maya suggested. "I would not object." "No," Ji-hoon said, firmly. "We are doing this right, proper courtship, not rushing just because we have wanted each other for months. We have time now." The next few weeks were intense in the best possible way. Ji-hoon kept his word about courting properly. He took Maya to museums and concerts and restaurants. They learned each other in ways they never could have at the office. Her love of old movies and spicy food. His encyclopedic knowledge of architecture and his terrible cooking skills. They did not sleep together immediately, but the tension built constantly between them. "You are killing me," Maya told him one night after an intense make-out session. "This slow courtship thing was romantic for a week. Now it is torture." "Good," Ji-hoon said. You should know what the past 3 years have been like for me." 6 weeks in, Ji-hoon told her he loved her. They were at his penthouse apartment, the city spread below them. "I love you," he said quietly. "I think I started loving you around month 2 of you working for me." "I love you too," Maya said. "I think I knew when you left flowers on my desk with no note." "So we are doing this," Ji-hoon said. We are really doing this, Maya confirmed. What happened next was intense and tender. Ji-hoon learned every inch of her. When they finally came together, it felt like everything they had been waiting for. 3 months in, Ji-hoon said, "Move in with me. This back and forth is inefficient." Your place is bigger, Maya agreed. His apartment transformed from showpiece to home. 6 months in, Ji-hoon's family came from Seoul. The meeting was tense. His mother looked Maya up and down critically. "So you are the secretary," she said. "Former secretary, now director of strategic initiatives," Maya corrected. "Convenient promotion." "Earned promotion," Ji-hoon said firmly. "You were her boss. This is inappropriate." "I made sure there was no power imbalance before we began dating," Ji-hoon said coldly. "And your future?" his mother asked. "What about children? What about family?" "Mother," Ji-hoon said dangerously. "You will not speak about Maya like she is a problem. If you cannot be respectful, you can leave. We raised you better than this." "Finish that sentence and I will never speak to you again," Ji-hoon interrupted. "Maya is the woman I love, the woman I am going to marry. You can accept that or lose me. Your choice." His parents left, but slowly, over months, his mother began calling Maya directly. "Trying." "She is trying," Ji-hoon said. "I can work with trying," Maya replied. A year in, Ji-hoon proposed properly. At their first restaurant, he knelt with a ring. "Maya Harris, you make me better. Will you marry me?" "Yes," Maya said through tears. "Yes." They married 6 months later. His mother cried during the vows. In his vows, Ji-hoon said, "3 years ago I tried to fire you because I could not handle my feelings. Thank you for fighting for us when I was too scared. I promise to never try to fire you again. I promise to love you completely, overwhelmingly, forever." In her vows, Maya said, "You told me I was too beautiful and it was ruining your life. Turns out you were just falling in love and handling it badly. I forgive you. Thank you for choosing me. I promise to keep being beautiful just to torture you. I promise to love you completely, overwhelmingly, forever." 5 years later, Maya was director of strategic initiatives with a corner office. Ji-hoon was still CEO. They had twin daughters with his eyes and her smile. "I love you," Ji-hoon said one night after getting the twins to bed. "I love you too, even though you are still the worst at firing people. I only tried once. Once was enough. I will never let you forget it. Good. Remind me every day how lucky I am that you are smarter than me." "Someone has to be," Maya said. They fell asleep tangled together, the same way they would every night for the rest of their lives.